Hello again, I am Blunty. Currently on the fence about whether or not the lightsaber hilter's microphone gag is working or not. Let me know down below. It was a whim. I guess I'll see if I get sick of this and throw it aside halfway through the video. So, Star Wars Outlaws review scores are all over the place. There's just no general consensus for this game at all. We're swinging between OMG, this game is everything I'd ever wanted from a Star Wars open world game, to literally heartbreakingly shitty game. Boo. In fact, taken on average, the wildly disparate high and low scores are coming in, overall worse than Starfield's aggregate score. So that's interesting. Also a fun little opening to talk about whether review aggregates and averaging them is useful even slightly. It's not. I've seen Outlaws being heavily criticized for being typical Ubisoft open world crap, but I have also seen it being criticized for not being Ubisoft enough somehow. Apparently they've streamlined or removed some of the more cliche Ubisoft stuff, and that really annoyed at least one review I was looking at, while others maintain that the Ubisoft game feels like an Ubisoft game and that's a bad thing. Because they acted like that was some sort of unexpected shock. Like, why? Why would you be surprised that a company who does such a very specific thing with their open world games to such a broad and long-standing extent that Ubisoft-style open world is a thing you will see in reviews of other games? I mean, this Ubisoft game plays like an Ubisoft game. Are you okay? Would you like me to call your nurse? I think your medication might need a little tweak. I hear good things about a new medication. It's a pill called dipshitterol. I've seen people screech about game-breaking bugs, and while the footage of this bug is indeed hilarious and stupid, and backed up by at least one more person posting the exact same bug happening in the exact same spot on the exact same mission. That second person also said it was the only problem they've had, bug-wise. So it's extraordinarily disingenuous at best to screech about the game being bug-riddled or this goofy shit being called game-breaking, because it's just not. It's just a stupid and very annoying bug, I'm sure, but in no way breaks the game from being continued, which is what actual game-breaking bugs do. That's why we call them game-breaking, because they break the game, you feckless pillocks. So desperate to poop on the game, you cling to any flaw to try and make it into a titanical iceberg for you. Don't be so disingenuous. We can all see right through you. Do you think you're getting away with this? Clowns. I've heard about forced stealth, which I don't like. It's one of the things that annoyed me about the Assassin's Creed games, particularly the early ones. I love stealth when I get to choose it. And when, if I fuck up or decide that I want to do something in a loud way, I can still do that and still complete the mission. But from what I've seen, if stealth fails in Outlaws, you can still shoot your way through, and maybe there's some specific missions where if you're caught, you automatically fail. But so long as that is a rarity, I'm still okay with that too. I've seen complaints about super hand-holdy yellow paint climbing crap that is so aggressively intrusive, it's basically treating you like a complete moron who has never played a video game before, and infantilizes the gameplay to such an absurd amount it is infuriating. But then I also read a different review elsewhere that you can just turn that off in the options. There's just an option for it so you can turn it off, so where's the problem there? How do you review a game and not even glance at the options screen? That feels a bit disingenuous. I've seen complaints that many of the missions feel repetitive. And, well, we're kind of back to it's an Ubisoft open world game. That's the deal. And the repetition of mission types gives you two things: the chance to refine your gameplay approach, or to keep trying different approaches each time you repeat this mission style. In Far Cry 5, for example, I took great satisfaction in utterly dismantling enemy camps without ever raising a single alert. Perfect stealth was the goal. But every once in a while I drove up to the gates in my car and pretended I was doing a speed run of Doom and ran through there with a shotgun, just blowing everyone to absolute pieces. It was equally as satisfying. But you can't do that stuff if there was only ever one mission that required clearing out of an enemy base, or if each base had an entirely different concept to clear it out. No. The repetition of a fortified base with snipers and guards and alarm towers and lookout towers and sort of looped paths around, that cycle, That's where you got to refine or experiment. That's the point of repetitive missions. So repetitive missions are a choice of gameplay, not a failure of developer imagination. Not always the case, but it certainly is with Ubisoft games, in my opinion. It's okay not to like it, but don't sit there being shocked that Ubisoft made an Ubisoft-type game. It just makes you look silly. Finally, one of the most sort of common threads I saw was complaints about performance and optimization, which sadly is another Ubisoft classic. Not one of my favorite things about their games. They do like to, well, like many publishers these days, release to a date, not when the game is actually properly polished and ready for release necessarily. It is a sad but apparently inescapable fact of the industry these days. And the image I'll probably use as the thumbnail for this video is supposedly an example of this that's been thrown around. One shot is from the first reveal trailer, the other is from some potato mode. I don't know whether it's on PC or console or whatever, but you know, they look nothing alike because, well, it looks shit and runs shit. And to be honest with you, I didn't bother to check what the OG sources for this image is. The ugly one certainly feels cherry-picked by bad actors just desperately trying to make it a thing, because again, in the wild inconsistency in reviews and reactions in general I've seen, just as many people are calling the game beautiful, even stunningly beautiful. Now, personally, I've not played. Ubi didn't tap me on the shoulder for review code for this one. They have in the past for some of their other games, not this time around, or their last one, frankly. Might have pissed someone off. And frankly, I had no intention of spending the premium price for early access, or the real release date, legitimizing their super sleazy little fuck you of having a whole ass quest featuring Jabba the Hutt locked behind a pre-order paywall as well. There are several Ubisoft games I very much enjoy playing, but dear God, they are such a slimy company when it comes to that monetization shit. It is hard to just enjoy the game on its own merit sometimes, you know what I mean? So despite, you know, pre-order bad, I would usually pre-order just so I can have it nicely pre-installed, get my settings locked in and ready to go for stream day. There's several reasons why I decided not to touch this game until reviews were out and the fuck you spend more second release day had passed. And let's be clear about this. The early access is not early access. That's the release day. You just have to pay more to get there. The actual release day is second release. Anything else is just branding. Fuck you for that, Ubisoft, and everyone else who does that shit. But I'm not sure I want to play this game or I'm ready to pay for this game. Money's pretty tight right now and it's hard to justify the buy even for a game I want to use, you know, for content to, you know, make me money. But and as a game that melds Star Wars, which I obviously love, and a game genre that I really enjoy, I like the open world stuff, I want this game to be great. I expected the game to be middling though. It is, after all, an Ubisoft open world game, and those are broadly, usually, pretty mid. I've never really gelled with the Assassin's Creed series, but Far Cry, I really like many of those. The most recent one, Far Cry 6, I kind of fell off that one. I didn't think it was one of their strongest entries. I never even finished it. But the recent ones before that, you know, 5, and to a slightly lesser extent, New Dawn, had a bunch of fun with those. I thought they were really good Ubisoft open world games, even though they too had a lot of flaws. And I was hoping Outlaws would fall somewhere in that space, you know, Far Cry 5 to New Dawn kind of area, that kind of Ubi peak. Right now, though, I can't tell. The reviews are so wildly inconsistent. For every claim about a flaw, I see another calling it a favorite part, and for everyone complaining about the gameplay loop here or there, I see someone who just clearly isn't familiar with Ubisoft's bone-deep idiosyncrasies. That's Ubisoft. You're complaining about an Ubisoft-style thing in an Ubisoft game, and it drives me nuts. I mean, context, guys. But maybe this is all a sinister plan, a conspiracy to force me to spend the money and play it for myself no matter what. You know, they made the reviews so confusing deliberately. They paid people to make bad reviews. They paid people to make good reviews just so everyone was so confused. Bugger it, I'll try it for myself, and they spend the money anyway. Or maybe this is all just the end stage of what video game discourse has become. Basically useless. I don't know, man. I'm still on the fence. I've got a few days before my usual weekend streams kick off. I'll try to make a choice whether or not to get this game or not, I suppose, or I don't know. This video is just basically me having a bit of a rant because the reviews are just so, it's been so long since a game has come out, at least a big, you know, big deal game. Star Wars, Ubisoft, you know, it's a big deal game. Where reviews have been so disparate, I cannot find any commonality. There's not just one or two outlying reviews. Oh, everybody hates this game, but I love it. Or, this is the world's shittiest game, but I still love it. That kind of thing. It happens sometimes with games. That's not happening this time. They're all over the place. Literally all over the place. And it's just baffled trying to get a feel for what this game actually is like to play. So I just don't know what to make of it. If you've been playing, if you've been one of the suckers who spent extra for the real release day, not the second release day, let me know how you're feeling about that in the down below, I guess. I am Blunty. I will catch you next time. Thank you as always to the patrons up above there. And I guess I stuck with the gimmick of the lightsaber microphone. Spoiler alert, it's not like I've hidden a microphone in this. It's the microphone's here. Prop. Call it in the shape is. It's just a prop. Live long and prosper.